Challenges and crises are the new normal in our volatile world. Our customers face political conflicts, skilled labor shortages, persistently high energy costs, inflation, as well as new demands due to digitalization, AI, and climate change. This complex environment demands a fundamental transformation of the industry towards greater efficiency and sustainable business practices. With our strategy of becoming the #1 in efficiency and sustainability for our customers, Bilfinger stands firmly by their side as the solution partner. By enabling our clients to master their challenges, we significantly contribute to their profitability and success. This is the source of Bilfinger's own success story. As our group results show, Bilfinger is on the right track to sustainable, profitable growth. As a people business, we owe this largely to the daily commitment of our more than 30,000 employees worldwide. Together, we will continue to implement our strategy with determination and with goals as ambitious as they are realistic. Welcome to the Capital Markets Day 2024.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to the Capital Markets Day of Bilfinger 2024. To all of you here in Frankfurt, it's very good to see you in person, but also to everybody joining us today via web chat and video stream, especially also our colleagues worldwide. Thank you for taking the time. My name is Bettina Schneider, and I lead you through the day, but as always, safety first. In case of emergency in this room, please use the emergency exits which are to your right, to your left, and in the back. Thank you very much. We start now with the presentations. We will make many short breaks to have your questions and to give you the answers. We have a lunch break to socialize, and as a highlight at the end of the day, I hope all of you will join us to the ACHEMA, where we would like to show you what we show our customers in these days to our customers in the processing industry. But as of now, let's get going. We start with the first presentation with our Group CEO, Thomas Schulz, and Group CFO, Matti Jäkel. Welcome on the stage.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could be a little bit more applause, or?
Yeah,
especially from the left side where our own people sit.
we'll
Guys,
have
this
more,
evening.
We'll have more later on.
Okay, welcome to our Capital Market Day 2024. Today is about our potential. That is what we will talk about. It's into sustainable, profitable growth. As all good companies, we have a strategy. And we actually showed our updated strategy in February last year. And we informed that we have two major directions where we go with the company. One is operational excellence. You can say it simply, the internal improvement of our own efficiency. And the other one is the positioning in the market to go into profitable, sustainable growth. And we show here on that slide what we delivered in 2023, which was a reasonable result, I would say, Matti. And that result is to see in the light to achieve our midterm targets with a growth of 4 to 5% per year, up to 2026 roughly, 6 to 7% EBITDA, and a cash conversion in the north of 80%. And we will achieve that. And today, on this Capital Market Day, we will inform what did we do in the strategy, what are we doing further, what is about the stock acquisition, and especially what are we doing more to generate more cash, which is very important. So out of that, the agenda looks like that. Matti and myself, we go with the whole group. Then we have Jürgen, and I would like to have my whole gem beside Matti and myself standing up and showing yourself. This is the Bilfinger Group Executive Management Team and reflects the whole company. HR, HSEQ, procurement, innovation, and products, as well as the three segments, and of course finance, and then you have that CEO on side of it, not on top. Huh? And I learned very well that with digital, in the future, there could be actually digital CEOs. Yeah? Let's see what we can do about that. But coming back, then in the afternoon session, we have the segments. And after the segments, we do a wrap-up. And then, of course, during the different blocks, you can ask, and of course, after the wrap-up, about the whole thing again. And then we go together, as Bettina said, to the ACHEMA. And of course, you can ask us whatever you want. This is the time to mingle. This is the time to answer all the questions what you have. But before we go into the strategy, what are we today? Who are we? We are not a construction company, period. It's over, done, and out. We are a company with more than 30,000 employees doing industrial service in North America, Europe, and in the Middle East, and in a lot of areas actually market leading in technology and in other things too. And we are a company offering for our clients from consultancy to maintenance and turnaround. Whenever you have a plant and you have gas and liquids, we are there to support you and make it more efficient and sustainable. And we can take it over completely. And we proved that for more than 100 years. We have more than 80% in the maintenance and engineering. And we have, 17% around in technology. You will hear about that too. We are in 4 main industries, but actually we are in all industries. The main industries are defined that we do more than 10% of the revenue in that industry. But we are a mirror of the global processing industry. No matter if it's ketchup or medicine or oil and gas or anything. And 80% of that what we offer is the same. That's a uniqueness and gives us a fantastic opportunity to maneuver. If an industry goes up, we can allocate more resources from other industries going a little bit down. We are now in the MDAX, which makes us actually quite happy to be back in the MDAX. We have around 5 billion turnover, and our profitability, no matter that 23 was well received in the market, still too low. And that's our ambition. Same as with the cash, developed in the right direction, still too low. And the management team knows exactly what we talk about when Matti enters the room. Important is, what are the drivers for the business? What is it what drives our business? What is it what drives our future? And the trends are very important for that. We are in a very volatile world, and you know that. Since the financial crisis, the amount of impacts on boards, on supervisory boards, on CEOs, CFOs, management teams is unbelievable high. And customers more and more look to focus on their core and not on everything. You hear that pure play. 20 years, 30 years ago, consultancies were selling us, you have to be diverse. Now they all tell you, you have to be a pure play because the impact is so big. Over bureaucracy, impact of politicians into our daily doing, labor shortage, climate change, you can name it. It's a lot. What is in for us? What are the drivers for our business? The drivers for our business is that customers under pressure, no matter if it's positive pressure, that means they expand and would like to build new things like in North America, Middle East, partly in Europe, or they are under pressure because they decline, because energy costs goes through the ceiling and so on. Then they come to us. That's our business model to support clients in both areas. And that is what we call outsourcing because they come to us. Can you take over all the maintenance? Can you take over the engineering? Can you take over how to build these factories all over the world exactly the same? We as Bilfinger, we can do that. We decomplex the clients, we improve efficiency, we improve sustainability, and we can calculate it on the millimeter, on the gram CO2 for the clients. And that is important because we unload them in the adjacent part what they have to do with all these tasks. That is what we as Bilfinger do. And we work with labor shortage, with our training and education. We work with labor shortage that we tell customers, you don't need 200 people on site. Have 10 and we bring the rest. That's where we earn money on. They get more efficient, they earn more money, we earn on that. That's our business model. So how does the industry look like? The industry looks like, actually, for us, quite good. No matter how you see the growth rates in the different areas. You see here the 4 main industries for us. Energy, you see chemicals, petrochem, oil and gas, and biopharma. And then adjacent industries like metallurgy, cement, and others, which are not so big in our portfolio, but we are working there too. Where if we, as I said, if we pump ketchup or if we pump a medicine, we still pump a liquid. And we are experts in it. When you look into, we didn't change the overall outlook of the market growth. We said 16 months ago, roughly, 2% growth in the industry where we act in, and we keep that. A little bit of movement, biopharma, energy a little bit better, and chemical industry through Europe, especially Germany, kind of lower. But in average, still the 2%. And then the behavior of the clients, well, what we live from. If they go up 2%, it doesn't mean we go up. We can go up 10%, 15%, and we can go down if they would say we stop the plant completely from one day or another. And they are not doing that, by the way, no matter that it always pops up. Outsourcing is the thing. They come and say, you take over. You are an expert in that. Why should I do it? I have 5 plants. I have experience from 5 plants. You have experience from 3,000 plants. You are the expert. And with digital systems, we can offer them to measure us daily on the efficiency improvement. So the world change into the positive for service companies like us, if you have the right competence at the right spot. Out of that, what is our growth? We have a very attractive growth. We have the 2% market growth, as you see. We have the self-propelled growth, which means that in existing regions and technologies, we still have a long way to go to cover it properly. You will hear about the segments, but in a nutshell, we can say if we would have in all the markets we act with all the technologies what we already have in Bilfinger, a low market share, our revenue would be more than double. That is a potential because it's low risk. We know the culture, we know the people, we know the customers. They only have to recognize that we can offer more. And this offering more is what they ask for, because only to have scaffolding will not help you as a supplier. You have to offer the customer efficiency. And for that, you need insulation, you need engineering, you need, of course, the whole package. And we can offer that. That's our strength. And on top of it, we put M&A. Because M&A for us is important to establish ourselves in markets as the solution provider, as Stork, for example, shows. And what is the important there? The important is, of course, that we look into our balance sheet, and we have a very good one, a very healthy one. The importance is that we create EPS, total shareholder return. The importance is that we only look for companies which are fitting into the product offering what we already have. They strengthen us in areas where we don't have these kind of products. Because when you look on the map, and you will see that, it looks like a patchwork. And we would like to make it one color, everything dark blue, and great future, of course. So back, 2 main directions, operational excellence and positioning. Efficiency program, the 55 million brutto savings, what we promised to deliver this year, where roughly 12, 13 million are going into education and training, will happen. And the efficiency program was finalized end of last year. As we promised, the year 2024 will bring in that money. It's all calculated in, no need to talk further about it. So we talk about operational excellence. And here you see the strategic levers, what we drive here. And you will see them quite often, because it's not about the amount, it's about the effectiveness. And what you see here too is the progress, what we have since last Capital Market Day. The reason to show it in that detail is that you see that we are not only saying it, that we really do it. And you actually can break it down to the figures what we deliver. And that transparency we will keep, so that you can read us better, because we know that still some media calls us construction company or anything else. That is not the Bilfinger. We are a leading industrial service provider, highly competent people with more than 30,000 employees in more than 30 countries with more than 100 nationalities. That is what we stand for. We are extremely good in that what we do, and I'm extremely proud of my people in that. So another part is de-risking. What does it mean, de-risking? Standardization comes in. De-risking is that service is not that you go on the site and say, oh, I start to work, that you actually go to the client and say, this is my offering. You have that plant with this, we give you KPIs what we will fulfill, and that is the work what we will do for you. And that is what you pay us for. That is de-risking, because you are standardized. The customer knows what he gets, and we know when we get paid and what we have to do. Makes life significantly easier, because you copy and paste it. We did it for BASF, for Bayer, for Dow Chemicals, for Procter & Gamble, for Shell, for Total Energy, doesn't matter. That is de-risking and standardization. I have some deep dives, and the deep dive is competence development, because it's not only that we decided to do the education and training completely in-house, to get the apprentices in, it's actually about educating, further educating and training our own employees we already have, offering people from other industries or other companies to join us. This upskilling is an offer. We have training programs. You can go around the world, no matter if you are blue collar or white collar. We offer that. That makes us very much attractive. We can bring a blue collar regular worker up to an engineer degree. We can do that. But it's not on a university all the time. It's actually on customer side, working, being part of the innovation and product team. With that, we are not only more higher attractive than others, because that's a relative game, we actually have more quality towards the client. We can do more with less people, for the customer less money, and for us less complexity in it. And our people, when they are upskilled and higher quality, they show the Bilfinger true value towards the client. And we proved that already. This is not what we just start. That is ongoing for decades. But we channel it, we standardize it, we pack it, and everyone has to go through it, and we make a motivating thing out of it. Then, last thing in that is digitalization. Everyone talks about artificial intelligence. When we have still in the industries where we operate no automation in it, we have to educate, we have to bring the people to digitalization, that they lose the fear what is coming to them. And you train that. And when you do that, you see that the people really think, wow, that is great. We can do 10 times more, and it's easier, and it makes more fun. But you have to educate that. That is part of the training and education. That's the reason why we said minimum or more than 0.5% of the revenue we invest each year in training and education. So that you can track us, are you doing that, what you say? Then the positioning. On the positioning, we have 4 main strategic levers what we work on. You see the progress. Market expansion is one of the big things. I think it's easy to understand. But what it really means is that we are able to offer in each region all the products. We are not doing that today, out of several reasons, but it's a hell of a good potential, because customers ask for more products bundled. You will hear about that regarding the Stork acquisition, how logical that acquisition is and was. Let us take one strategic lever, external digitalization and innovation, because we have an internal part to improve ourselves and an external part. Today, we only have 5% our revenue with digital products. Only 5%, that's the truth. Of course, you can say, why are you not doing more as Bilfinger? Yeah, customers have to allow it. They have to open up and saying, I don't want to have scaffolding, I would like to have drones with sensors. And this is not easy. This you have to convince. Everyone would like to be the number 2, not the number 1. To go into a new technology. But we have so good customer contacts, we are so big on customer sites that we actually can implement it. And that is what we drive for. And our target is to be more than 40% with digital products on the revenue in the midterm targets. We will achieve that, because We have a fantastic situation for us as Bilfinger. We have a market which is booming, like the Middle East and partly North America. And we have a market which is heavily under pressure, which is in Europe, especially in Germany. And they ask for tools to get things done faster and that they can track how our performance is. That calls for digital products. If we then look into specific examples that you see what we already do, you have on the left side scaffolding. You can do scaffolding with 3D installations. It makes it significantly faster, safer, more reliable and repetitive. You have in the middle part predictive maintenance, which means we tell the client before something happens in the process or on equipment like pumps and mills, what will happen so that when we have the next shutdown can do already the additional work that they have no more downtime. We can do with the third part drones on insulation, actually flying on oil and gas offshore platforms instead of having scaffolding in the Northern Sea, which is, I can tell you out of experience, in November or in February, not a nice thing to be on. And we can use drones to analyze, to check, and having spot-related work, which makes it cheaper, faster, safer, more efficient. And then sustainable Bilfinger. We pray that we enable companies to get more efficient and with that more sustainable. And sustainability is a technical thing. I'm not talking moral politics, technical thing. We are each day reducing CO2. We can calculate, we can prove, we can put a stamp on it from a notar or from any consultancy. Not a problem. We do it. We don't talk about it, we do it. We just do it. But if you offer that, you have to be sustainable yourself. And we are part of a value chain, but the part of the value chain, what we cover, is very minor because customers have a sustainability impact with their production sites in our value chain of more than 95%. The suppliers, close to 5%, and we are below 0.1%. But you have to be a role model that you do it yourself. And we agreed for the GHG Scope 3 in 2025 to do that. Another step. EcoVadis put us on gold, which means we are under the top 5%, which is very important for clients. They look exactly into that measurement. On the right side, you see a result out of a challenge because Brussels forget us completely in the EU taxonomy that there's mechanical industrial service companies. So whatever we do on the site, our clients can put it in the EU taxonomy, we not. So we implemented last year on the Capital Market Day our own classification to show you the progress, to be transparent, and we use that what you have in electronic stores when you look on a refrigerator. It's class A, very good, to D, really bad. And we promised in the midterm target, we are out of D, and we move more into A and B. And we achieved that through the bundling of our products, through the combination to go to the clients. So this into the sustainable, profitable growth shows you we perform on that what we promise. You can see that in the different strategic levers as well as in the financial figures. And we have quite a potential further to go. And with that, I give over to Matti.
Yes, thank you, Thomas. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All of what Thomas just told you translates into performance. Anyone who bought a Bilfinger share on the 1st of January 2022 or invested 100 euros and would look at his account statement would see it's worth 219 euros. So 119% total shareholder return since January 2022. How did we do this on the strategic side? Thomas told you already, we completed the efficiency program, we implemented the functional organization, we spent a lot of effort on de-risking, which improved our profitability, and we acquired Stork, and today is the day to tell you how that Stork acquisition is fitting into the Bilfinger organization, what it does to our outlook for 2024, and more details on this one. On the capital market, we returned to the MDAX in March this year. Very happy to have that achieved. Standard & Poor's gave us a positive outlook in May of 2024. We outperformed against the indices, first against the SDAX and then against the MDAX, I have to admit the MDAX is not the biggest challenge in the world, as you all know. And we have an increase in sales side coverage, which we take as a real compliment from the capital market of our performance. Let me take you back to the Capital Market Day 16 months ago in February of 2023. We issued midterm targets, importantly with a step in between, which is 2024, where we said we would increase our margin to 5% and above, and the cash conversion of 70% for 2024, and the midterm targets, well known, well communicated, revenue growth of 4 to 5% per annum, 6 to 7% EBITDA margin, and a cash conversion to exceed 80%. How does the Stork acquisition now change or affect the 2024 numbers? In February, we issued a guidance without Stork because the transaction was still pending. We signed in September of 2023. Closing, as you are all aware, happened on April 1st of this year. There is an increase in revenue. We expect about 300 to 400 million euros for the 9 months from April 1st to December 31st to add to our revenue. So we increased the outlook on the revenue to 4.8 to 5.2 billion euros. The EBITDA margin said would be 4.9 to 5.2%. There's a bit of a dilution, and I come to this. And we widened the range from 4.8 to 5.2%. Still, if you take the midpoint, we promised 5%, we will deliver 5% in 2024. The free cash flow doesn't change from 100 to 140 million. The additional profit that comes in through the acquisition, through the Stork business, will be offset by the integration cost that we will have to pay out in 2024. So that equals out. Going into the segments, there's only one change, and it's E&M Europe. The entire acquisition as it stands today only affects the segment Engineering and Maintenance Europe. The others remain the same, as you can see on this slide. E&M International unchanged, Technologies unchanged, and the reconciliation, which completes the group, is also unchanged. The additional revenue takes E&M Europe to a revenue between 3.2 billion and 3.6 billion. And the margin, we are taking the range one notch lower from 5.9 to 6.2. We take it to 5.7 to 6.1% to address the dilutive effect that the Stork business will have only this year. Turning the attention back to our midterm targets and cash. First of all, we have done a lot of work on the efficiency program, operational excellence, and the positioning to get the margin progression going. This is extremely important to prepare the organization, and then the cash can follow. It's always profitability first, and then the cash follows. So cash conversion, to take it to 80% consistently, you see higher values for the prior years, 97% in 2022 and 78% in 2022. And if you look further back, we see a lot of up and down in cash conversion. The idea is to make this more even across the future. How are we going to do this? The key to working capital improvement is really to look at capital efficiency, and that's a supporting midterm target that we will be working. We will be reporting the net trade assets as percentage of revenue, where we are operating at around 12% in the last 2 years, with a bit of an improvement that we see this year. But the midterm target here is to take this to 8% and below. You see our peers are trading between 11% and 1%, and that's just a selection there. If you look at the average of 6%, you see there's even further potential beyond 8% as a capital efficiency measure. The strategic levers that we have applied and continue to apply on the revenue side and the profit side also have a cash impact. Take competence development, take standardization, take de-risking, take automation, and take market expansion to a varying degree between medium and high. Why is that the case? For our working capital improvement, it is extremely important to shorten the billing cycle. So from delivery of our service to getting the invoice out to the client and then getting paid. How do the strategic levers support this? De-risking, and I would like to give you one example there. The focus on cash flow in contract terms and contract conditions. Oftentimes, we have contracts where we are billing on milestones, which means achieving something technical, where the client is solely responsible to say yes or no. You have not delivered or you have delivered. So we're in the hands of the client to say this has happened and then sign off. We are moving away from milestone billing to progress billing, meaning we bill month by month the work that has been performed. Yes, finally we will deliver the milestones, but they're technical milestones, and that should be the limit. Otherwise, we will be funding work continuously until we get paid, which binds our working capital. Change order management is the same. Oftentimes it happens that on a contract, the client changes specifications, timing, deliveries, and what have you. If you're bound by a milestone, the time extension will just do the very same, pushing out the achievement of the milestone, and we have to even deliver more services and fund those services. So going to progress billing will really help improve our working capital. Automation. All our invoices come with a lot of documentation, and to efficiently organize this is another matter of focus that we have started and we will continue. Time writing, document handling, and the entire billing process will be fully automated and hopefully in the future also fully digitized. This doesn't come easy. There's a lot of hard work in there, and there's a lot of training and development with our people involved, because they're used to sometimes a very old-fashioned way of doing business. So the focus here is not on the finance people, because they do understand the importance, but it's training the operational staff that it's very important to deliver high quality to satisfy the client on the one hand side, but on the other hand side to make sure that the money flows as fast as possible into our bank account. All of this will help on various fronts. Our cash flow will be more consistent throughout the year, so the known and well-known bathtub will be much shallower. The capital efficiency will increase, and the measure that we're using, as said here, is average net trade assets over revenue, taking it from 12% right now to a level of 8% and below. From this, taking a look at the capital allocation, this remains unchanged. We will fund distributions, dividends. You know our policy very well, 40 to 60% of the adjusted net profit will continuously grow. The last 2 years, we were at the higher end of this bandwidth, close to 60%. We will fund the organic growth that we have talked about, 4 to 5% revenue growth per year has to be funded. And as we will see during the day, we are funding M&A transactions as well, where we are looking to achieve attractive top line and bottom line growth, increasing total shareholder return, access to skilled labor. I think Thomas really explained this very well, how important that is. And the second one is obviously driving the full line offering in all our core regions so that we service our clients. And last but not least, share buyback is an important part of the toolbox that we will be using if and when the time is right to do this. All of this is based on a sound financial policy where we expect to achieve investment rating, I wouldn't say anytime soon, but we have certainly taken important steps, and the positive outlook that we got from Standard & Poor's this year makes me very, very confident that this is almost around the corner. So, what is here for you to remember? We make it really easy for you. Revenue, 4.8 to 5.2 billion. Profit, 4.8 to 5.2%, 2024. Yeah? So, yeah. Cash flow, strong focus on working capital improvement, taking NTA to revenue from 12% to 8% in the midterm, and capital allocation remains unchanged. With that,
once again, Jürgen Liedl, President, Engineering and Maintenance Europe, talking about Stork.
Finally. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jürgen Liedl. As Bettina said, I'm President of the segment Engineering and Maintenance Europe, or E&M Europe. On April 1st, we have successfully closed the acquisition of Stork in Europe, so Belgium, Netherlands, Germany. And I would like to talk now about why this is such a perfect fit in our strategy, what kind of opportunities that provides us now for sustainable, profitable growth, and how are we going to make that happen. I'll start with the first. Why is it such a perfect fit? Let's look at our M&A strategy. As Thomas said, we are looking at, and Matti said, we're looking at quite a lot of potential targets right now, but we have a very strict set of criteria that we are applying. So how does an ideal M&A target look like for us? First of all, it shall add an increase to total shareholder return. Second, it shall be a benefit of our portfolio. So we're looking for companies who are doing things that we are familiar with, in a market where we are competent and successful, but providing services that we are not doing in that market yet. And that, of course, then leads to attractive top line and bottom line contribution. That is also a criteria for us. And especially, I think, in Europe, access to skilled labor is something that is a key requisite and also a competitive advantage. So that's also very high on our KPI list. And last but not least, an efficient integration. We want to integrate companies as efficient and as quick as possible when we acquire them. Now, when you look at the Stork acquisition, that ticks all of those boxes. The acquisition will be accretive, or is accretive, not will be because it already happened, it is accretive from day one of. We have a very complementary portfolio in the Netherlands and Belgium, and I will talk more about that later. And also in Germany. What Stork is doing in Germany adds value to what we are already doing there. We have now an additional yearly volume of 530 million euro, starting from Q1, with a current EBITDA margin of 2.5%. But as we are so familiar with the business, we have plans in hand and we are confident that we will raise that margin to our targeted level. Also more of that to come in 2 or 3 minutes. What I really like about is the access to the skilled labor. We have now more than 2,700 highly qualified employees being part of the Bilfinger team. And to add even more of that, they have some competences that we have not had yet. As an example, electrical and instrumentation. The whole industry is moving from coal and gas to electricity. And if you want people to drive with electrical cars, there needs to be an infrastructure. So electricians are one of the most sought resources that we currently see in Europe. And a big share of those 2,700 people provide and have exactly that know-how. Perfect. And last but not least, the efficient integration. So Stork has been a peer for us in Belgium and Netherlands, but we know them well. We even have been working on the same sites or at same contracts with them. They think and act very similar to us. They have the same kind of culture, so we are very familiar. And when you know a company from the market, you can be confident at the beginning if the two companies fit together or not. And this is what we are seeing. So there is a good cultural fit to us, and that also just makes the integration easier. So that's why we signed the transaction on the 6th of September. We have done the closing for the Belgian, Dutch, and the German entities on April the 1st. And we will be finished with the full integration in Q1, quarter one of 2025. I want to spend a little bit more time on the complementary portfolio. What does that mean and how does it help us to position ourselves and to drive sustainable, profitable growth? Some of you who were with us in February 2024, they may remember the chart or the picture that you see on the left side of that. That is a core element of our strategy. You have, when you look into our industries, you have some companies who provide single trades. So those are the dots that you see on the left side. And they may be very good at that. So that's fine. But then you have some companies who have a broad range of services. And then you have some companies, and there it gets fewer and fewer, who are combining that. So who are combining this broad range of services, and they make solutions out of that. And these solutions are tailored to increase the efficiency and the sustainability of a plant. And this is where we are moving more and more at Bilfinger. And this is exactly that big fit, that strategic fit that Stork is delivering, that is offering. Look at, and of course, that increases the entries of barriers for our competition, because you need to build up all of those know-how and all of those solutions. It takes time, it doesn't come overnight. And that, of course, also drives our profitability. Now look at E&M engineering and maintenance in Belgium and Netherlands. Bilfinger has been already very good in engineering, so we are consistently ranked in the region amongst the top 3. We will get better, we will become the #1, but we are already very good. We are definitely the #1, and all of our clients say that in that region when it comes to insulation, scaffolding, and painting or corrosion protection. And we do a little bit of mechanical, but we could be better. Now, where does Stork come in? They add very fantastic technical consultancy know-how to our engineering department. So at the very early stage, defining asset management, defining maintenance services. Something that we have in other regions already, but we haven't had that to that extent, by far not, in Belgium and Netherlands. So that's a perfect fit. They are also very strong in mechanical, especially in the Netherlands. And they know electric instrumentation and control, which is something that we have in other regions, but we did not have nearly nothing of that already available in Belgium and Netherlands. So with that now, we cover the full service portfolio. We can cover all of our products that we want to offer, and we are doing this, and we can combine it to solutions. I'll have a few examples on specific cases then and contracts afterward. But also then in Germany, the business that Stork is generating in Germany, it's about 50 million, 50 of those 530 million. They are specialized in mechanical and electrical equipment. So they upgrade, they modify, they maintain turbo machinery and generators. I just realized I always say they, but it's we. No, sorry. Still getting used to it. So we have that now in our portfolio as well. And it's also a very nice add-on to our existing framework contracts, or when we make a shutdown or a turnaround of a plant, we now have more know-how and more services to offer. We haven't had that in the past. We have it in other areas. So also that mechanical and electrical machinery, we have it in Scandinavia, for example. We're very successful of that. So we know the business. It's also one of our global product centers. We now have it in the next region. Perfect fit. And another thing, which is still worth to mention, when you look at E&M Europe, the headcount, on end of last year, we had about 24,000 own employees in Europe. And you see a big majority of that is in DACH, and then the other regions were smaller. Now with those 2,700 colleagues coming through the acquisition, I have a more balanced portfolio across Europe. And Bene is a region where there's still a lot of investment ongoing. You have the harbors of Antwerp, you have the harbor of Rotterdam. It's a country, it's an industry that has been driving the sustainability and the energy transition since 3 or 4 years. So there's a lot of positive things going on in that region. Perfect. How does that lead to the financials? Now, Matti has explained the financial outlook, and I think you've seen the numbers. So within the segment E&M Europe, we are adding for this year another 300 to 400 million euro of revenue, quarter 2, 3, and 4. We are, it has an impact in this year on our EBITDA margin, but it's digestible, I would say. Stork is currently operating at a 2.5% EBITDA margin. They have done this last year, the year before. That has also been the budget for this year. Again, we know them. We even have known some of the people. So we had time to prepare, and we have a good plan to improve that as quickly as possible. And we see the first synergies already being realized. So that updated outlook for the segment of Europe, no changes in any of the other business in E&M Europe. We are adding Stork, including the one-off costs in this year and the bad debt provision.
Badwill.
Badwill provision. My apologies. No, we end up between 5.7 and 6.1% in our outlook. Now, there is a plan, of course, to move and increase the profitability from 2.5% up to 7% and higher in the midterm. And you can see the effects, the positive impact, the synergies along our strategic levels. So efficiency. First of all, we're integrating the Stork business into our functional organization. Stork, the business that we have acquired, was a business unit of 530 million euro. So they had their own overhead, they had their own administration. We don't need that twice. And that creates a lot of savings, which you see here in that lever. In addition, we did see, and we do see, some dilutive contracts. And that's something we have kind of learned within Bilfinger in the last 16 months, on how to go to the client, on how to convince the client that they need our people and that we can add value, and we need more favorable terms. And that can be payment terms, that can be invoicing terms, that can be prices, you name it. And we are applying this now at the Stork portfolio, case by case. We're working through this, and that will have a significant impact, which you see in operational excellence, also on the margin. Plus, of course, we are working on the standardization, which makes things more efficient, and we have now double the size of procurement volume in Belgium and Netherlands. That creates synergies and opportunities to save on procurement costs. So all of that feeds into operational excellence cluster. And finally, the position, again, by combining those services, two meaningful solutions, we have a completely different level to talk to the client. And we are not providing 2 or 3 welders or 5 scaffolders. No, we are providing solutions. And that is just a driver for profit and for growth. And you can see the effect of that. Why am I personally convinced that we will manage this 7% midterm? Because we have demonstrated it also in Bene for the last couple of years. So this is a margin level that is not unusual in that region. Why? It's attractive, and we have a good management team, and we already have a very good position. So that's why I'm convinced that will come. How are we doing that? That's our integration plan. Again, what you see here, we had already started, we had ample opportunities before the closing on the preparation. We done, of course, before the signing, we did a lot of due diligence. We know the company, we know the market, and so on. So we've made up our minds on what can we do on day one, and we had a plan on integration already at closing. We put a lot of effort on day one in terms of communications. So to convey the excitement that we have also to the Stork people. Day one, April the 1st was effective, it was Easter Monday, but we had the first management calls with the Stork management to welcome them, to explain how we appreciate them being part of us and what are all those good ideas and great ideas that we will be working on. Then from April 2nd, we had town hall meetings in most of the sites where we are active. And it was always stock management and Bilfinger management. We are doing this together. They are part of our team from day one on. And that got quite very good response, not even amongst the crews, amongst the teams, but also at the clients. So immediately clients started to talk to us and asked us, Bilfinger, how can we use that now? How can you help us become more efficient and more sustainable? So we have been working on the joint customer approach, prioritizing the clients which we talk to, having the first conversations, also providing the material when our salespeople go out there, when our managers go out there and talk to. That is done. From day one on, Stork was part of our functional organization. So we have prepared that at the beginning. We have slightly changed the reporting lines. They are part of our governance from day one, and they are part of our functional organization from day one on. So we have a joint management team now, and of course we further work on improving especially the operational organization, because that drives then also all of those synergies in operational excellence and in positioning. Yeah? But from day one on, part of the functional organization. Big focus is now on rebranding. We have acquired brands like Stork, Eastimeber, Thermec, and so on, you name it. If we present ourselves and sell ourselves and go to the clients as one company, it will all become Bilfinger. So that's something we're working on that will be finished by end of the year. Plus integration of IT systems and processes. Also there, I think we have a very, I'm lacking the word, but we have a very good approach. Yeah? Of course, there are some processes and systems, which are Bilfinger global systems, finance, HR, safety, CRM. We are bringing the Stork people and the Stork business onto our system. And there is no negotiations. Global systems are applied to the business that we have acquired. But keep in mind, Stork is a company who knows good stuff as well. And the business that we have acquired, they know how to do things. So we are now looking more at the operational systems and processes, and we compare them case by case. And some of them we find out that we can learn from the acquired business. Some of them we find out we are the ones who can do that better. And so there's a learning also for us in that region and across the group. And in addition to that, of course, we make sure that the day-to-day business is not affected by that. So we don't want the staff on site being busy on integration. We're doing it in a phased way, in a meaningful way, and in a careful way. So we will not harm the day-to-day business, and that's working well. So first feedback after the first 2 months, it's now already, very good response from the client. So the assumptions that we had when looking still from outside inside on all the synergies, they have been confirmed. Also the one-off costs have been confirmed. Good feedback from the acquired teams. And lots of opportunity, and the first synergies are already realized. So we have work streams that are active and kicking, is all progressing. Now, of course, that creates a lot of work for the people, but why are we doing this? And I give you 2 examples that excite us. Us means the gem, hey, me, but also the teams and the clients. These are 2 examples where we are showing this, combining services and translating them into meaningful solutions that no one else can do in Belgium and Netherlands. I start with the first reference case, HCC. HCC is a Dutch company who is owning and operating plants that produce green hydrogen. And it's quite a new company on the market compared to the Shells, Bayers, Exxon Mobiles. So they have been looking for a partner who can manage and also execute the ongoing maintenance at their sites and also small modifications. And you see some of those things, maintenance execution, modifications engineering, modifications execution, we at Bilfinger have already been able to provide in the Netherlands. But some of those things that have been required, we were not able to provide. And this is where the acquired business of Stork comes in. So they have very good references and experience in asset management, in the Netherlands and elsewhere. They know maintenance planning, and also they cover some of the locations which we don't with our people to do the execution of maintenance and the execution of modifications. That is something we could not have provided before the acquisition. And again, that's something which there are only very, very few companies that can do that. With that client, as a side note, that client has even waited to sign the framework contract until we have closed the acquisition, because they were also, they read that we did the signing, and they have really waited for us to close the acquisition before they signed the contract. And I think that tells us a lot on how we can add value. Another one, again, hydrogen. When you go from Rotterdam to Maasvlakte, which is one of those industrial areas, you drive until you see the sea. It's about 20 minutes or 25 minutes. You will find a big hydrogen plant being built. And that's the so-called Shell Holland Hydrogen 1 plant, which is generating 200 megawatts of green hydrogen, which is powered from the offshore wind. And that hydrogen is used to provide the Pernis refinery, also from Shell, with green energy, with green hydrogen. If you go to that site, you will see people from Bilfinger who are doing very, very vast things. We have already done the technical consultancy when the plant was being designed, so all the permitting services, that was done by Bilfinger. We have started to do the scaffolding and the insulation. That's also done by Bilfinger. Now, the mechanical works and the electrical works are also done now by Bilfinger. It was Stork previously. So when you go there, we have such a big role already that we play in that project, and it's one of the first in Europe to that size that is going to be built. So it's a great learning for us. It's a perfect reference. Yeah? And by the way, the reason why this is called Shell Holland Hydrogen 1 is because Shell wants to build a second one. So there are 4 plots on that side. The one is currently being built. The second one is in the line also for Shell to be constructed. And then you have 2 other ones, one for BP and one for Air Liquide, who have also kind of put their foot there because they want to build similar plants. Huge opportunity. And again, that's something you will not find a lot of companies who can do that. And that's something we now can do together with the acquisition. That's why we are really all excited about it. Good.
Very good. Thank you very much, Jürgen. I hope you enjoyed your lunch. And I hope that you all had also some coffee, because now we're getting in more details. You will hear a lot what you have already heard this morning. However, now allocated to the segment to understand how our segments will achieve their midterm targets and beyond. As a first presenter, you know already, Jürgen now coming as really the president of E&M Europe to present his segment.
Good. Thank you. That's a good start. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. So thanks for coming back, everyone. And thanks, Bettina, for implying that my presentation will require coffee because it will be boring. I take this as a motivation for the next 20 minutes. Good. So what you will hear now in the afternoon is more details, more flavor on how we are implementing the strategy that Thomas and that Matti have explained in our specific segments. So Christian, Thorsten, and myself will go through the segments. You will see some common flavor as we walk through it. You will see some specific topics that keep us busy in these segments. And I'm starting again with Engineering and Maintenance Europe. So what's the starting point? Where are we today? We have already a very good position in many markets in Europe. So overall, as a service provider, as an industrial service providers in those 16 countries where we are active, we cover already a significant range of services. So in the end, you will find someone in our business who can do more or less anything. Yeah? And that's a good basis to start. But we still have good opportunity to grow. And I will talk about this one in a second. We have demonstrated in the last year, also in 23 again, that we can grow above market average. So last year we made 3.03 billion euro revenue. That is about 9% more than we had the year before. So for me, that's a proof that our business model and our value proposition works. And it works in easy times for the clients, and it works in difficult times for the client. We also have already quite a good, I have to apologize, Marty, we have a solid EBITDA margin, but there's more to come. What we've been working a lot in the last 12 months in Europe was the functional organization. So we have reorganized the regions, and we have reorganized all of the regions into the functional organization. As an example, what is really of a benefit, I now have in all of our 5 regions, I have someone, and I have a team and a manager who is responsible for one of our 8 products. That is something we did not have before. And I even have now, we have now the P&L, so we can look at the order intake, we can look at the revenue, we can look at the margin that we are generating with each of our products in each of the regions. And that's just a good starting point, to work on all those other things that are coming. So good basis with room to improve, and with a plan to improve. So what you can also see here then is we did not only work on the functional organization and on the efficiency program, but we've also started working now as the organization is in place. We have started working on the other levers. On market expansion, I have a separate slide afterwards because this is really the core of what we are doing and what we'll be doing in the next 2 to 3 years in Europe. So I have a separate slide to explain that in more detail, how that is working and why that will deliver profitable growth. De-risking for us in Europe is very much about renegotiating dilutive framework contracts. A dilutive contract can either be because of lower rates or because of unfavorable payment conditions. And we have gone to our portfolio. We had 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, we had quite a lot of them, and we have worked them through case by case by case. And in many instances, we have been able to convince the client to renegotiate the rates, or to improve the indexation conditions, or to improve the payment terms. In some of them, we have not managed. That sometimes happen. Again, it always takes 2 to find a solution. But what I was really impressed about the teams in the regions, that they have stood their ground and said, if I do not reach my acquired margin or my acquired conditions, the ones that I want to have, I stay out of that. So we have let some of those contracts also go. And it always happens also in our industry that 2 or 3 years later, the clients are coming back. So that may be the case with us as well here. The market expansion is within our existing markets, and again, more on that on the next page, but we are also looking carefully on adjacent markets, and that can either be a geography or a country. So Thorsten, who will talk later on about the segment technologies, he's very active in many of those countries in Europe, where we are building pharma plants, green energy plants, and so on and so forth, but we don't have a lot of maintenance presence in those countries. Right? In Scandinavia, we have the one or the other country as an example. And we start kind of handing over the client relationships, and as the plants are being built, we get introduced from engineering and maintenance to talk to the clients how we can improve the maintenance. And as these plants are going into production, there is more work for us as well. And that will mean that in some of those countries where we don't have that huge presence in Europe right now, in engineering and maintenance Europe, we will be more active. Or also industries, adjacent industries is something we are looking at as well, where we can apply the knowledge that we have. One of the examples there is data centers. Everyone is talking about artificial intelligence, but artificial intelligence requires 2 things. First of all, chips. And second, data centers. Someone needs to calculate and do all those statistics of the deep data models. And that is done in data centers. But what the interesting part of that is a data center requires a lot of energy. And we have companies like Google, they want green energy. and they also produce a lot of heat. Now again, energy creation and heat are two of the core competences of Bilfinger. So we are applying our core competences that we have learned in other industries to new industries, and this is what we're looking more and more as well. Innovation and digitalization. Last year we talked a lot about robots and drones, and we continue to work on that, but something that has accelerated is how to use automation. You may call it robotics, but how you use process automation for the administrative work. Matti was talking in the morning about us reducing the NTA and reducing the WIP, and automated invoicing is one of those tools that we have started to introduce in our scaffolding business in the UK. Then we have introduced it in our scaffolding business in the Netherlands, and now we are rolling it out to our scaffolding business in Germany. Now, in the past, someone was writing the documentation for the scaffold that has been built. He or she attaches an invoice to that, he sends it to the client. Then it lies on the desk of the client. At some point in time, the client has time to pick it up, to check it. Client comes back with question, it lies on one of our desks again. And so it just takes time and time and time until really the money comes on our bank account. Now with these automated processes, all of that goes through robots or through software. And the software works day and night. The software doesn't keep something lying on its desk. And also the quality and the amount of questions we get back is much less. The quality is higher and the amount of questions we get back is fewer. So we get the money from the works that we have done in a very short time, and it requires less administration. Two benefits. So let me talk about the positioning and market expansion. What you see here is a table with many different colors. It's a schematic scheme. And the left is illustrative for today, and the right is illustrative for the future. And each line represents one of the regions, and each column represents one of the regions, and each line represents one of our industry, of our products where we are active. And it is quite a mixed picture that we see, where in some areas we have very high market penetration, in some a low market, and in some we are not present as well. What we have gone is through all of that, all of those markets, and say where can we sustainably and profitably grow. And the future for Bilfinger in E&M Europe looks like this, similar like this. Again, that's just illustrative. But what you see is that we will create more dark spots with more market penetration. But you also see we are not going to conquer the world as all at once. So we are prioritizing what we are doing. So for example, inspection services is something which we will push in the future. Engineering is something we will push in the future. But the overall objective is that we have a consistent portfolio to all of our regions. And again, the logic behind that is the same one that we talked about when we had the Stork presentation. And Thomas talked about outsourcing in the morning. This is a big enabler of outsourcing. When the big clients like BASF, Dow, Shells, they are thinking of outsourcing the maintenance on a plant, they want to have someone who can do all of those trades, not someone who can do turnarounds, maintenance, modifications, mechanical, electrical, you name it. So they are looking at exactly tables, same tables or similar tables like this one. And guess who they find? Bilfinger. So that puts us in a very favorable position. And another positive outcome of that is, again, we can combine the services into solutions. I'll come to that in a second. So we have standardized our products and our organization. We have identified the white spots. We are working on the core expansion. The organization is helping us. This functional organization is helping us a lot to make just the management of that much more efficient. We're using training and education as a facilitator. If people are working on other trades, you need to train them. We are allocating budgets to do so. And then, we are looking if the right M&A activities help us to accelerate this. Let me give you some examples on how we can combine that into solutions. And again, you need a broad range of services in a specific market to be able to do so. The first one is the Bilfinger Net Zero approach. We have developed a solution where we go on a site, and it's more and more becoming tailored to the food and beverage industries, where we go on a site, we assess the current CO2 emissions, and we propose with our technical consultancy teams the modifications of the plants. And then we also have the ability to do the engineering. If the client says, yes, this is a good idea, dear Bilfingers, can you please do the engineering? Yes, we can. Yeah, and then we can even do the modifications. To give you one example, we have started to work on that with Heineken on about 10 plants, 5 to 10 plants in Europe. We started with a €1 million technical consultancy contract where we have assessed their plant and came up with recommendations on what to change. Heineken liked the way we work with them, so they've given us a 10 million contract on doing the engineering. They still like to work with us, and now we have signed a €100 million framework contract to then actually do the modifications and the rebuildings. So you will not find many companies in Europe who can deliver that on that scale. And and that creates just huge potential if we're doing it right. We have on average, I would say about 20 million euro as revenue that we can generate on such a plant, a typical food and beverage plant. And if you look at the plants that we have in our pipeline, so the ones where we address the clients, it's more than 300, so it's big. Another example is the Bilfinger Advanced Inspection, where we apply technology. No, that is, the technology is there, but we apply it to a certain to a certain application, to a specific application. We have done that in the UK, and it's so-called phased array ultrasonic testing. I'm not an engineer, I have to admit, but it's an advanced inspection, a testing of pipes that are installed in nuclear power plants, but also in refineries and in oil and gas terminals, where it's just much more efficient, i.e. it takes less time to do those inspections. And these inspections you have to do when you build a plant. So again, we're talking about nuclear, where we have the first contracts for that at Hinkley Point. But it's also something that is then regularly done as part of maintenance and asset integrity. And we've tested it, and you can do the kind of calculation, so you can just take the time it takes to do that inspection in a conventional way and to do that inspection in this PAU way, this advanced way, and you need 60% less time in the way that we are doing it. Why? In simple terms, you don't have to move the pipe around the equipment, but you move the equipment around the pipe. Sounds simple, but someone needs to invent it and do it, and we've done that. So also there, this generates on an annual revenue, on the site and maintenance revenue, ongoing revenue, about €1 million per site. And look at the plants where we can apply this, it's a lot. So opportunity to roll out the standardized products across Europe on many, many plants and to grow sustainably in a profitable way. Last example, Bilfinger Rotolysis. This is a software that we have designed to measure the efficiency of pumps who are in operations of a chemical park. The efficiency of a pump depends a lot on the angle of the blades within the pump, and it depends a lot on the rotations per minute. So we have designed a software that optimizes this. So when the clients give us their operational data, we can run it through our software, and we can suggest on how to modify the pump and on how to operate the pump. And then again, we in addition to the engineering know-how, we also have the capability to go into the plant, to disassemble the pump, bring it to our workshops, rework it, upgrade it, bring it back into the plant and assemble it again. So we can help the client from the beginning to the end to increase their efficiency. And with that solution, we can create up to 50% savings in the energy consumption. Again, that's something you can very easily measure because the client has the automation on its sites where he can measure how much electricity per hour or day or tons of output is consumed. And we have proven that with that solution, we can save up to 50% in energy. And of course, what follows then is also CO2 reduction. Also there we generate per pump, I would say about €500. That sounds like a small number, but if you think of all those pumps that are just installed, you know, on a typical chemical site, and that's not really a big one, you very quickly come up to more than 1,000 pumps who are installed on such a site. So again, big opportunities. So that's why we are confident that we will continue to grow above market average. So in addition to the 2% market growth, we are adding 2% self-propelled growth, so that on average, also in the following years, we will grow 4% or more. And we are also convinced that we will move our EBITDA margin from the 5% in 2022 to 7 to 8% in midterm. So organization is in place. We are moving into the next phase of the strategies. We're getting good response from our clients, and we continue to work on things like the ones that I have presented.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to tell you about the transformation within the Middle East region and North America, as well as some exceedingly large opportunities for growth in these regions. Bilfinger has got a large geographical footprint across the Middle East and North America. In the Middle East, we're in all the major countries, including UAE, Saudi, and Qatar. We're in emerging countries, including Egypt, and we're also present in India with access to its vast pool of skilled engineers and craft labor. In the US, we have more than 40 hubs across the states. Most of them are in the southeast states. We're also present in the belt of traditional manufacturing industries in the Midwest, and we have a high presence in the Gulf Coast region with the oil and gas and petrochemical industries. We said last year that we will stop doing major construction projects in the US, and with that, we took out about 150 million of revenues to construction. We also did some restructuring, and we saw an immediate impact on our profitability. Over the coming years to the midterm, we are replacing the loss-making construction activity with engineering and maintenance services. And with that, you will see the share of projects reducing into the midterm. The high share of adjacent industries relate to the works that we're doing with Procter & Gamble and also with US government and the US Army. It's services, small design and build, profitable, and we will continue to do that while strengthening services in the other segments. Now, how are we going to deliver the strategy of profitable growth? Well, we're continuing to de-risk the business. So the existing large projects that we have are executed in close cooperation with our global product centers and also with external experts. They will complete this year. We are leveraging AI-driven innovations and digitalization, and later in a bit, I will tell you about how we work as a sustainability partner, both in the Middle East and in North America. Now, most important in the short term is market expansion. And I'll give you an example of Saudi Arabia. Saudi is an emerging superpower in the Arab world. It's a G20 economy with 35 million people and a well-working capital and finance market. With about 12% of world oil production, they're also a swing producer within OPEC+, and thereby directly impacting oil price and global energy markets. Bilfinger has been in Saudi since 1980. We work in the energy sector with Saudi Electricity Company. We keep their plants going, and we're pretty good at that. And as such, Bilfinger is important for the electricity supply into Saudi Arabia. Now, with the ambitious Vision 2030 in Saudi, they offer attractive incentives for foreign companies and to expand their businesses within all the industries that Bilfinger is present in. So we expect that white spots within oil and gas and petrochemical in Saudi Arabia will deliver some of that growth in the years to come. We are already investing in organization and in facilities, in our own capacities for organic growth. And in parallel, we are seriously considering some opportunities to acquire to grow much faster. All right, so far. Jürgen excuse me, gave you a brilliant explanation of the methodology of this, so I won't do that again. I'll tell you how we are set up today and how we aim to move in the coming years. So in the Middle East, we're particularly strong in engineering and mechanical maintenance. We do, or by complementing these services with electrical instrumentation and control, and by testing and inspection, we're able to provide the integrated and nested services that our customers demand. In North America, we do a lot of traditional services like mechanical on rotating and static equipment, welding, on piping. We do insulation and scaffolding, and so on. We see that in North America with aging assets and strict environmental conditions, there will be higher demand for turnarounds and for life extension activities. So key to profitability and growth is that we're able to provide integrated services. Providers of single and dual services get commoditized, while they may have some barriers, scopes are smaller, and profitability lower. I said I'll give you some examples about how we work as a sustainability partner. So in North America, the government is spending about $1 trillion towards 2030 in order to achieve their targets on energy transition. These funds are available through direct investments, subsidies, and tax incentives. We have been working together with the state of Georgia to electrify the public transport system and successfully completed the installation of chargers on a number of yards. We're also working with a manufacturer of textile fabrics based on corn oil. This is opposed to the traditional manufacturing of nylon and polyester and lycra based on the petroleum feedstock. So bio-nylon supported by Bilfinger. We expect a number of these opportunities in the coming years. The next example I'm going to give is in the Middle East. So post COP28, ADNOC confirmed their target to reduce the emission of greenhouse gases by 30% within 2030. Bilfinger has taken the role as a technology provider with ADNOC. And in the past year, we have successfully completed a number of projects with them, like decarbonization of oil producing activities, like electrification of major equipment, like boilers and pumps and generators, and also engineering for LNG and hydrogen projects they have. Now, we see that ADNOC is in parallel also increasing their oil production, and they're to align their activities with the targets in Paris of the 1.5 degree. They're also making available a high number of such sustainability-related projects. Thirdly, Jürgen talked about also the larger customers based in Europe, and we support them when they move to the Middle East and to North America. They are expecting that we deliver to them a consistent, high service level and quality, and want us to follow them in their internationalization. So some of these opportunities are huge, and we expect there will be growth also within the international segment in the midterm when we work closer with our international customers on a global basis. So I'm going to sum up. We're confirming the target growth of 6%. And why is that? Well, we have strong fundamentals in core markets. Industrial services in North America are expected to grow by 7.3% year on year towards 2030. In the Middle East, we've been able to deliver two-digit growth for the past 3 years, and we expect that to continue well into the midterm. The self-propelled growth is going to be achieved on top of how the market grows by expanding on existing services, by moving into other industries like oil and gas and petrochemicals in Saudi, and also considering other territories and geographies to take that growth. So 6% will be counted from 2024, given that we took out a significant part of our revenues in 23 to 24. Finally, on the profitability target, 5 to 6% achievable. We moved from a loss in 2022 to a black zero in 23, and successfully completed the efficiency program, continued to work on operations excellence, and by replacing the loss-making construction projects, we expect that the profitability will come with engineering services and maintenance. In sum, 2023 and 24, we're transforming, but we're well on track to deliver growth and profitability in the international segment. Thank you. So, Torstein Hoppe will talk about technologies.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon to all of you. It's a pleasure to introduce you to the 2,000 people of technologies. A year ago, I introduced you to our key industries. I explained to you the homework we have to do and also the financial aspiration. Now, a year later, we can say that we increased our revenues by 25% last year, and also the EBITDA margin improved by more than 50%. So we are on the right track. I'm extremely proud of the achievement of these 2,000 people in technologies, and really this team is driving it forward. So in which businesses are we? You see them here on the right side. You see the 3 business lines. It is nuclear, it is energy transition, and it is life science. These are the 3 industries we are focusing very dedicated. And how are we doing it? What are the type of our contracts? We don't do, and let's say it here very clearly, we don't do just a fixed price for someone who said, build me something. No, 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 that's not what we are doing. What we are doing is we are doing an engineering component to fully understand what this nature of our, for example, piping work is. Then we do a procurement work, a fabrication work, and finally only we lock in an installation work. So that's the nature very much of our business, how we do it today with very strict gate reviews to really make sure that we are working only in these 3 industries, very focused in these 3 industries. Okay, so what is key for us? Key for us is really standardization and de-risking. That is where we worked a lot on, and it starts really with choosing the right projects and contracts. And it is also that we do repetitive work. We have clients where we do now the 20th time the same than before. And obviously that helps us a lot to be very precise. First of all, we can offer the client something very competitive, but we can also predict it very much in terms of when is the delivery of all of that. And certainly for us, it's absolute margin security. So de-risking, standardization, a lot of work done. Also now getting it more and more digital. That is really key for us, and we will continue on this walk. What is now in the next phase, and as I mentioned, operational excellence obviously will always continue. What is really key for us next? Key for us next, that is market expansion. I go into that in a minute, but what we can already say, we are now in Bilfinger with our products very well established. We see in the regions very close collaboration with my two peers. So we have products, we have regions, and we can bundle these products to an offering, to a contract. And what we do now with the markets that we expand, first of all, in the Bilfinger regions, but second of all also, as we are doing very repetitive work with our clients, that they bring us into their regions where they execute their work. So sustainability, that is really what is the DNA of technologies today and the future. As we are in nuclear, as there is a decarbonization really going on, as we are in energy transition with a new type of energy-related projects, as we are in life science generating, let's say, the products, the contracts for clients who work on obesity or against obesity and also on insulin-type drugs. So all of that is there really where sustainability, that is in our DNA. And through our repetitive work and through the way how we design it with the teams, it's also very efficient. And so therefore, our vision of Bilfinger, that is for us really something which fits absolutely in our day-to-day work. Innovation and digitalization, obviously, I mean, we are in an accelerating phase during these days, and I think it will go even faster over the next years. So digital plants is key for us. We have a fabrication component, supply chain completely digital is key for us. We will be pretty soon in the next nuclear power plant involved, and for that it is absolutely paperless how we are delivering into this plant. Okay, let's talk a bit where we are today, what we showed last year, and where we will be in the midterm in terms of our contracts of our work. We will have a very balanced portfolio between projects and between products. I mentioned it already, that in Bilfinger we are structured by products, and we are bringing this together. We are the integrator of all of that, bringing it together in technologies. And what we are doing is, in terms of piping or skids, we do it again and again. For Hinkley Point, for example, I think you all know that we are involved there with the biggest piping contract ever someone did for what happens in the nuclear island, what happens between the various nuclear islands, what happens even in the reactor. So a few 100 kilometers of pipes we are bringing in. That is nothing special any longer. That is for us really very standardized in the way how we do it, from the engineering over the fabrication to the installation. So for us it's a product how we are doing it. Same with skids and pharma. That is really the same of its kind, and other process units the same. So midterm, what we are envisioning, it's really a balanced portfolio, a balance between projects and products, and how we want to bring that together. Obviously, we have excellent skills, and we have invested a lot anyway in our people, how we bring all of that together, because that gets key. How do we bring it together? And that there were really, in terms of number of people, in terms of qualification, a lot of efforts went into this. Okay, as you have seen it before from my colleagues, On the left side, you see here the where we are today with 3 business lines, and you see here the various geographies. And what we can say today, and that's where we are coming heritage from, in continental Europe, we have a strong position. Now, especially with the work we did over the last couple of years, and how Bilfinger also developed itself in the sense of getting really this strong presence in regions, we can reach out to, that is in the future, we can reach out with very dedicated teams into these regions, working very close together. Collaboration is really key for us to make that happen. And we are extremely happy to see that our clients who see us successful doing this one contract bring us to the next and then bringing us overseas or wherever it is. So for us, it's really, we are pretty conservative in our growth, let's say what we declare. But if the world really goes to let's say, a completely decarbonized world, and if we see what happens in terms of pharma, biopharma, then we think we can really be very dark blue in most regions in not too far future. And we have a very dedicated team to make that happen. Okay, let's give you a few examples. And you see on the one side, you see nuclear, then you see energy transition, and then also life science on the right here. So we are in Hinkley Point, UK. That is roughly what we declare a 500 million contract, and we are doing there this work, as I described it earlier, big piping work. So there are 2 reactors. Based on this, UK has a 24 gigawatt expansion plan. These 2 reactors make 3.5 gigawatt. So based on that, there is now the next plant coming up. Financing of Sizewell will be announced very shortly. We are already in with a piping strategy. We are already in working very close with an so-called MEH alliance, working together, developing it with the client together. And obviously the intent is doing repetitive work, doing it really as what we did for Hinkley Point 1 or Hinkley Point 2, doing it with Sizewell 1, Sizewell 2. And then, as you most likely have heard already, Will4 is then the next one coming along. And then on top of it, let's not only stay in UK, also the 24 gigawatt give a lot of, show a lot of potential. There's Poland, there's Czech, and France also declared that they built most likely more than 12, minimum 8. The few more they may need for export because some, or at least one country decided not to do work any longer in nuclear, and it's unfortunately ours. So they built power plants for export. Or they even asked Switzerland to participate in the capex costs of such a plant. So therefore, for us, it's really, we have currently the biggest contract. We are the only one doing it of that size in one plant, many more to come. Let's talk about energy transition. It's a hype on hydrogen. We have the contracts. Jürgen had shown it before. We have also we have a couple of more engineering contracts. We are working with really the key clients currently, and there will be the announcement of further big contracts very soon. So that we can clearly see the world is moving in that direction. We are in with engineering and also with execution. Same is also with carbon capture. And then for us, infrastructure improvements like modularized pipe racks. This is all where we can add what we already learned, how to standardize engineering. That's what we can add to this type of projects. And then on the right side, you see life science. Life science is really a success story. We are working there really in the core of these plants in the ingredient processes. where we provide skids, where we provide piping. And this is really with a couple of really strategic clients. We don't reach out to everybody and doing just one project or one contract. For us, it's important really that we have chosen partnerships with strategic clients. They bring us into various countries. And what we can see is now 3 years later, we tripled our revenues in this business. And this life science business will be the first one where we are certain that we can reach a double-digit margin. Okay, so what is the outlook? What are our midterm targets? I mentioned already what happened last year. What we can see is that the market is stable, will deliver, let's say, a 3% growth. There will be another 3%, what we definitely think, certainly, we can deliver year over year. So we believe we can grow 6% year over year, last year 25. So, and in terms of EBIT margin, as it worked out last year with all this hard work of people very well, we say that predictably and conservatively we see the 6 to 7% margin in the foreseeable future. So that, in summary, gives you an overview of technologies. There's still more homework to do, as always, but we think we are absolutely in the right industries, in the right, with the right clients. Expansion, market expansion for us important, and also important this balanced portfolio between projects and products. Thank you very much.
So we are more or less through. Now the wrap up. What you heard today was actually about, and actually it should work. Yeah. What you heard about today were several things. How far are we with the strategy implementation, what we delivered, what the potential is to go on, that we achieve our midterm targets, and you got a lot of details which kind of work we do, because we are not a construction company. That's very important. These are the trends and drivers what we have. This drives our business, and there is no change visible in the next 20 years that we will see really an improvement on the volatility, that we see a real improvement on over-bureaucracy, that we see a real improvement on labor shortage, as long as we are not moving the societies more digital, where governments have to invest more in infrastructure. There is a big task and a growing task for industrial service to take over more and more adjacent and non-core parts of our customers, that they can focus on that, what they actually would like to produce and to sell. That is already complicated enough. And we saw that before, actually in the digital or IT industry, where every company had their own people to install printers and laptops and software updates. In all professional bigger companies, this is completely outsourced, and outsourced to IT service companies. And it's a similar thing what we see in the industry. And on top of it, not only that we take that, we can make the life of the clients significantly better by earning more money with that what they have on existing assets, which is more than 90% of our work, and already in the planning, helping customers to plan it like that, that industrial service, that the maintenance, the turnaround is already factored in how you design everything what you have. And we prove that more or less daily on battery factories, on hydrogen. We actually do it when we change in district heating into a district cooling system like in Munich. A lot of that, we as an industrial service provider can do that. And as more offering we have, as better for the client it is. Because the combination of all the offering really brings the efficiency. And that is, of course, the thing that we can grow, and that we grow in an expanding market. We heard about the Middle East, we heard about North America. We definitely have pockets in Europe too, if it comes to green tech, for example. And we can grow in declining markets too, because customers are forced to outsource more to focus on that what is essential for them. A company which does this kind of work 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 times is always better than a company doing it on their own 2 or 3 or 5 times on their own sites. And that's the card to play. And that is for us as a group will drive further shareholder return and shareholder value, which is important. And we have a hell of a good way to go. There is a lot more in the company than we saw, because we delivered, no matter if it's functional organization, efficiency program, strategy update, whatever it is, you can see it in the figures. When you look through the material, you can link the strategic successes, what we have on the strategic levers with the figures. And that is how we will be transparent to the future too. On the other side, market starts to recognize more and more. There are the MDAX, media, the last negative comment we got on media, which was for Bilfinger for quite a while, regular that we got that. The last negative comment on media about us was in November 2022, actually when we announced the efficiency program. So out of that, the attractiveness on growth, and then the attractiveness on profitability, the attractiveness on cash generation, the attractiveness to be the #1 in the eyes of the clients for industrial service. That is what we actually showed today. The growth, what we have with the 4 to 5% in a market with 2% is a reasonable growth. On top of it, M&A, but if you project that to the future, significant more to come. That's how we see it. We were fairly clear and detailed how we are doing M&A and where we look into. And when you take the Stork acquisition, it took more than 1.5 years to realize it, not because the seller had problems to get rid of it or didn't want to sell it. It was actually us, which were very clear what we are intending to pay for and how it has to look like when we take it over. Because we look into value creation. And a pure strategic argument to buy a company because it fits strategically is not an argument. It has to create value. It has to fit into the company. Never ever buy a company where you think strategic it fits, and the first thing what you have to do is to cut people because you recognize it's really not profitable enough or doesn't fit or anything. Then why to do M&A? We are unbelievable simple, unbelievable crystal clear what we want. Why are we so crystal clear? Because then the offers what we get from the industry, from owners and other companies is already significantly easier to dwell than if you only go out and say we want to do M&A, because then you are bombed with whatever you can't imagine with what, and you don't want to have that. So out of that, Matti will make the wrap up for the financial.
Yes, thank you, Thomas. So we took you back to the last Capital Markets Day where we issued our midterm numbers with an intermediate step in 2024, 5% EBITDA this year, 70% cash conversion, 6 to 7% profitability in the midterm, and over 80% cash conversion thereafter. A big lever in achieving that cash conversion is working capital management and improving that, and I think I explained that quite in detail. I think the takeaway here really is measuring average net trade assets over revenue. It's a simple measure, easy to understand, comparable to a lot of other businesses and companies and peers. So we will take that from 12% down to 8% in the midterm with de-risking, automation, competence development, and so forth. The outlook, and I removed the previous outlook that we gave earlier this year, so it's easy to remember, 4.8 to 5.2 billion euros, 4.8 to 5.2% on the EBITDA margin, 100 to 140 million euros on the free cash flow, including the special items payout from the efficiency program. If you do that, then the cash conversion rate adjusted comes to 70%, which is what we promised 16 months ago. Finally, capital allocation, no change. very solid. This is what we deliver, increasing profits, increasing dividends. We're funding our organic growth, we're funding M&A, and last but not least, if share buyback makes sense, it's in the cards. All of this based on a good, sound balance sheet, a good and sound financial policy, and investment-grade rating, as I said earlier, is hopefully around the corner. With that, I think there's the last wrapping up the wrap-up.
So, that slide, if you think about us, that slide actually should always appear. And that is minimum what we tell all our colleagues. And it shows actually the way forward, our journey where we are on. We promised something on the Capital Market Day in 2023, where we start here on that graph. And we delivered what we promised, partly a little bit more. And we will deliver for this year, as we promise. And we will definitely deliver the midterm targets. And what comes after is potential. The industry supports us, no matter if they are under pressure or not, or expanding. And how we are set up with the bundling, de-risking, offering from projects to products, we get more and more positive feedback from our clients, and actually a lot of pressure, you heard that from the segment colleagues, to go with them around the world. And from time to time, we have to say no, because it's too far out. And from time to time, we say, maybe, and let's look into it, how it works out. But the attractiveness of us is fantastic. It makes it really fun to work in Bilfinger.